You talked about the BRRRR method. Some of the listeners who don't know what it is, would you like to just give a little bit about what it is?
Absolutely. It is a 5-step process. It is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Essentially, you're purchasing a house, you're forcing the appreciation into it, you're placing a tenant into it, then you're going out and refinancing to hopefully pull all of your money back. I like it because it generates a higher level of return potentially, and hopefully you hit infinite returns, which means that you don't have any money left in the deal. And then when you pull that money back out again, it gives you the capital to go ahead and proceed and do that over and over again.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sanjay Hegde, and welcome to REI Secret Spill, Fast Track to Riches. I have today Bud Evans from Aim High, and we are super excited because Bud has various things that he has done. Like he has been a retired police officer. He was in the USAF military officer. He was also the mayor of Cinnaminson, New Jersey. And he's been in real estate for a while now. He's a licensed agent and currently operates in New Jersey and Pittsburgh. And there is so much to learn from him because he's also coaching as an investment coach with Tarek Al Moussa. He teaches the BRRRR method, commercial multifamily analysis, property management, and velocity and infinite banking. So he's got a wealth of knowledge, and we have so much to learn from him. And I'm super excited to have him over here. So welcome, Bud.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
So, but you've worn so many hats before, and so tell us a little bit about your experience about that, and anybody who has been in the service. And first of all, I would like to thank you for your services. And you always have a lot of stories. And I previously used to work for a company that was a military contractor, and a lot of them were from either military, Air Force, Navy, and they always had great stories to talk about. I think people of character, and the build you very, very tough. So I'm pretty sure you must have a lot of stories about that. And that is something that you might have had brought with you when you got into real estate, because we know that real estate is a tough place to be in. So, tell us a little bit about what got you into real estate, and how did you get your first deal?
I went into the military a while ago, 1987. So most people, they come out of high school, they're like, all right, we're going to go to college. We've got this whole path. I could not go to college. I could not afford college. My parents had told me, hey, we're getting divorced. We don't know what you're doing. I said, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. I went in the military instead. So from 1987 to 1990, I was active duty with the Air Force. They had these budget cuts, so they booted me. They gave me the option to either, stay in for another 3 years or get the heck out and go into the Air National Guard, which is I chose the latter. So I did some entrepreneurial stuff, bought a restaurant, failed miserably. Uh, and then, as luck would have it, me being kind of a service-based person, 1993, after the birth of my son in 92, I became a police officer, and I did that for about 13 years. Towers fell in 2001, got deployed a few times and figured, yeah, I know where I'm supposed to be. And it's not patrolling the mean streets of Radnor Township, Pennsylvania. So here I was, I went back into the Pennsylvania Air National Guard as an active guard reservist, AGR, and I stayed there for quite some time. Somebody thought I'd make a good officer. I still to this day believe I was a better enlisted troop than I ever was an officer. So I did 19 years enlisted before I did 15 years as an officer. Towards the end of my tour, 2014, we moved into New Jersey from Pennsylvania, and right down the street from McGuire Air Force Base. And I was like, you know what? I love this town. I like what it stands for. Let me try to make it better. So I ran for local office, and the military told me, hey, good luck, go for it. So I did. And next thing I knew, I was the mayor of Cinnaminson, New Jersey. And about about a year and a half in, the military came back to me and said, yeah, you remember how we told you good luck? I said, yeah, well, you can't do that. Resign. And I'm like, what am I? Wait, what? I have 16,000 people in my town. And they said, yeah, no, you need to resign. I said, okay, great. What, at the end of my term? They're like, no, 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 tomorrow. This was at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. So, well, here's the thing that really kind of stuck with me, and the reason that I'm telling that long-winded story. While I was the mayor, I got involved in economic development. We were dealing with planning, zoning, budgeting, construction, all of these things to make the town a better place. I was part of the raising of a 7-unit over 55 community, major storage facility. We did a couple of pad sites, a kindergarten, a development, a townhouse development. We finished that project. There were over 300 homes in there now, condominiums and townhomes. I really, really enjoyed real estate. That and the fact that I had a friend of mine, Al Segrist, who basically didn't have to work. He had a few doors, a couple of multifamily and a couple of, commercial properties. And, he was working, but he didn't have to. So that's kind of what he did. And I said, wait a second, you don't work. And how do you do that? And he said, well, I own about 6 properties and they, about 10 doors total. One of them is a barbershop and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, maybe I should do that. Well, when they told me to resign, here I was getting 40 to 50 hours of my life back per week. And I said, I think it's about time I get into real estate. So joined a mentorship program and it was on, man. From 2018, October of 2018 is when I really kind of kicked off, went through this immersion course, got my first flip while I was in Texas, sourced it through a wholesaler. Bought it in Jersey while I was in Texas and started the rehab process in January of 2019. From that point, man, I never looked back. We had done, at the end of my second year, we had done 21 flips, 21 rental properties, BRRRR strategy rental properties. We did about 30 flips and I did 10 wholesales in those first 2 years. Now we're up over 50 doors personally owned. I have my own portfolio in addition to that. And then I've done over 100 flips and I just did my 11th wholesale. I don't like giving stuff away. So that's kind of the way we did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then
So no, it's interesting. And you talked about the BRRRR method. For some of the listeners who don't know what it is, would you like to just give a little bit about what it is?
absolutely. It is a 5-step process. It is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Essentially, you're purchasing a house, you're forcing the appreciation into it, you're placing a tenant into it, then you're going out and refinancing to hopefully pull all of your money back. I like it because it generates a higher level of return potentially, and hopefully you hit infinite returns, which means that you don't have any money left in the deal. And then when you pull that money back out again, it gives you the capital to go ahead and proceed and do that over and over again. I not only did we started with single family homes, but then we found out something interesting. Smaller multifamily properties, we can do the exact same process. So we started buying 6 units, 8 units, 5 units. We're looking to get up to 30 doors at a shot and BRRRR it and keep it in-house. So we're slowly making that climb up to the larger projects now.
Awesome. So during this entire process that you were going through, and what were some of the things that you learned that help you grow? And you said, I'm going to implement some of these new things that I'm going to learn. And when you probably first started, what was your mindset about? I understand that you did go through a mentorship program. So
Mhm.
did I. And mentorship programs are mentorship programs. They kind of teach you. They make you just enough dangerous. Teach you enough where you get dangerous. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you learn through the process as well. So you want to share some of your things that you learned?
Absolutely. The mentorship program that I joined was expensive. I mean, it was I joined at the highest level, which was about 50 grand. But I will be honest with you, when I looked at that, I had a consumer mindset. I had that scarcity mindset that we really don't want in this industry. You don't want to have that mindset in this industry because it will kill you when you start looking at things like oh, that's really expensive, as opposed to, okay, I'm making an investment to get myself forward. So the first thing that I learned was that mentorship was worth its weight in gold just because it gave me an instant network into the real estate industry. Being able to jump onto a Facebook group where everyone is going through the same thing, learning the same thing, not always at the same pace, but having that group allows you to make those connections that will help push you ahead, basically at a extremely high rate of speed. So that was the first thing that I learned. Another thing that I learned was documentation and contracts are only worth the paper that they're written on. If you go into a handshake deal with a contractor, you're probably going to lose your butt, right? It's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the tail. And unfortunately, I do have a student who's going through something like that right now. And my first question to him was, well, what does your independent contractor agreement say? And his response was, well, I couldn't get him to sign it. My response to that was, and this is months ago, I said, fire him now.
Absolutely. I
Um,
think, yeah, this is something that we go through quite a bit, right? Like it's a
mhm.
very extensive process. A lot of the passive investors don't see the things that happen in the background, the amount of time that it takes to
Mhm.
vet the deal, to make sure that we bring in the right kind of property management and the contract people who are going to, general contractors who are going to fix the issues. So yes,
Yep.
there's a lot that goes into it. So
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So
But wait, the third part of that, because you just brought it up. So the reason that I'm breaking this into those three parts, your network gets you really pushed and accelerating at a high rate of speed. The second thing that can really kill your business is contracting. Your contractor is like the lifeblood. If you have a bad one, it will crush your business. The third thing, you just brought it up, is property management. Especially when you're into rentals, if you have a bad property manager and your vacancy goes up, you will go broke. It's not a question of if, it will absolutely happen. But
no, that's I completely understand. I think the next thing, that I always like to talk about is financing, right? And
yeah,
you seem to be understanding the infinite banking really well. So, can you tell us a little bit about how it can be used to finance your real estate investments and grow your wealth?
yeah, absolutely. So one of the great things about, so let me explain first what infinite banking is. Infinite banking is where you're acting as your own bank. You're essentially taking a life insurance policy and you're putting in a certain amount of money and it's gaining, you're increasing the value of a cash value life insurance policy. Depending on the company that you go with, I'm not going to throw out any plugs, but it can be a universal life policy. It can be a whole life policy. It can be a straight up cash value index based life insurance policy. And essentially what you're doing is you're funding that to a certain point, and then you're able to take loans against it. The great thing about infinite banking is this: usually the rate that they are paying you to have your money in the insurance policy is at a higher level than what you pay to take a loan against it. So, for example, when you're making a quarter point on your savings account in blah 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 bank down the street, if you're in an investment like a cash value life insurance policy, you're making 4.5 to 5%. When you take the loan against it, you're paying 3% back to who? Yourself, while you're putting that money back into your cash value life insurance policy. So essentially, there's an arbitrage to be made there. So even though you've taken a loan against your money, you're actually still making money on the money that you're not really touching. So the way that I work that in conjunction with what we call velocity banking, which is a home equity line of credit. And the reason that I'm bringing these two things together is for a specific reason. If you have a cash value interest only, I'm sorry, an interest only home equity line of credit, you can pay that down at a faster clip than your standard mortgage, right? Standard mortgage, you're making a principal and interest payment. The majority of that mortgage is going to be interest for about 17 to 20 years, the majority of it. If you're paying a home equity line of credit, everything you pay beyond that interest rate is going to principal. So that, and the best is it's calculated monthly. So as you make a payment in the beginning of each month, it lowers your payment. You make another payment at the beginning of the next month, it lowers your payment, and so on and so forth, which really kind of puts that into the stratosphere as far as speed goes. So here's how this works. I take a loan against my cash value life insurance policy and I go buy a rental property. I execute the BRRRR strategy, pull that cash back out, put it back into my investment property, and then I use my rent that's coming in from that property to drop into my home equity line of credit, and my house gets paid off in 2 years to 3 years.
Lovely, lovely. That's amazing. Yeah, a lot of people have heard about Infinitive Bank, but they
Mhm.
don't understand how it works. So that is definitely that was a pretty. I know you could speak more about it. I
Yeah.
think it's about at least 45 minutes to an hour into it. But I appreciate you trying to make it pretty concise and explain it to our audiences. So this is one part of it, but what kind of tools that you use to keep yourself on track? Like, with growth also comes, like with great power comes great responsibilities. It's the same thing with growth. Also, you have a lot of things to do to maintain it and keep the momentum going. So what do you do for that?
Yeah, the first thing I'll tell you is once you get to a certain point and you feel as though things are, you're starting to get bogged down, immediately hire someone, right? That's first things first. I have an executive assistant who nails it. He absolutely crushes it. Without him, I could not do the things like research infinite banking and velocity banking and IT stuff like AI integrations and whatnot. I love that stuff. So because Ron is out there busting his chops for me and taking my email stuff and looking at that and scrubbing it for me, taking my phone calls, I get the chance to go and see how I can optimize my business. So that's one thing that I use to keep me on track. The other thing, other than the IT stuff, it's my calendar. It's flat out. We use Calendly as a tool to make sure that there are spaces and my time is blocked as required, and I ensure that there's enough time for me to do other things. It sounds silly, but I have a 4 hour Calendly block that my wife picks up the phone and calls Ron and says, "Hey, we're going to go out at this," and he just goes click, bang, and he puts it on my calendar so I don't miss family time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, so it's good because at the end of the day, we do all these things for the financial freedom and the freedom of time, right? So the two things.
Yeah.
Because for me, that was the main thing, right? Time freedom was the key for for me getting into this. So I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for you, because at the end of the day, you don't want the missus to get all upset about it because
Right.
she plays a very important role in the keeping the house going. So that was a great thing. I think it was a good tool that you talked about. But do you use any kind of CRMs or
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I just had a meeting at 11:30. Normally it's supposed to stop at about 12:30. We were on until just before here. We're going through our go high level CRM right now. And we were having issues with the phone system. So we converted it over to go high level's phone system. So we do use go high level specifically for that. Our website is on there, buddevans.com. That's throwing out a plug. Sorry. But that's kind of like the lifeblood, how we track all of our opportunities, keep our client list and send out emails, making sure that people are aware of everything that's going on. Plus, it gives us the option to opportunity. I don't want to say option, opportunity to provide value to not only clients but also people within my network. I know I do a lot of giveaways. So like I'll find something that a spreadsheet or hey, I found some really cool stuff out about X story, which, like this morning at 10:30, I was on the Aim High REI Facebook Live, right? And we talk about news stories, over coffee, just, silly stuff. We It's just two people having a cup of coffee and talking badly about news stories. But I'll put that information out. In addition to that, we obviously, that I have a podcast. You're on it. You're
Yep.
actually going to be airing on uh, Monday.
Oh,
So
lovely, lovely.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know when this is going to come out, but 7, 8. I think it's January 8th, right?
Yeah,
January 8th, you'll be coming out.
we should be able to do yours within a week's time, pretty much. Now that the holidays are all over, right? So we're in good.
Yeah.
Right. So, are you seeing certain challenges, like because given the current situation that is there, a lot of investors are very nervous about investing because of the interest rate hikes and so on
Mhm.
and so forth. A lot of migration happening from state to state or city to city, things happening. So, how are you? What do you think is the state of mindset that you have? And how are you working with your investors when it comes down to this?
There's always a place to buy. There's always a place to buy. And the money is not made at the back end when you sell your deal or when you're getting your rents. The money is made at the front end. When you're doing your due diligence, you're doing your, your walkthroughs, your inspections. That's when you're making your money. You have to walk into a market that's capable, where there's growth, where, the job market is increasing, where there are anchor places, big employers, multiple, not just two or three. Ask me how I know. Kelowna, Illinois. John Deere plant closed down, and the next thing I knew, my rentals were empty. I only had two, thank goodness, and I was able to sell them. But you don't want to get into it. That was back when I first started. You talk about why do I do the things I do? Because I've been there, I've done that, and I know exactly why I don't do that. So find those places where prices are, your appreciation, you will get appreciation. You can declare the depreciation, and you'll actually get a cash flow on top of it. And then once you get there, understand what the rehab expenses are going to be. Nail that stuff down, man. Don't, you can't second, or you can't guess and then later on complain about the estimate if you're not actually reaching out to professionals to walk the projects with you. So once you get all that stuff squared away, it's just everything falls into place. As far as the interest rates, the average in recorded history is between 6 and 7.5%. We're there, right? So we got spoiled with the 2.75 to 4.25% interest rates for 2 years, and listen, that's great. Hey, good on you if you got into that. But when I got started here, it was 6.5. Buying at 7.5, it's really no difference to me, because I'm just factoring in those numbers, factoring in the holding costs, and then just making sure that I get the cash flow that I expect in areas that I know the market is going to appreciate. So
Yeah.
buy,
No,
buy.
yeah,
That's my theory.
no, perfectly. That's pretty much what we are also trying to do on our side. But this is for somebody who's just getting started in the multifamily space or in the real estate space.
Mhm.
Mindset is a very important thing. You got to come with a certain mindset. So, what would you suggest that a person should have coming into this, whether as a passive investor or as an active investor? What would you suggest? What kind of mindset should they have?
My first mentor told me, and I'll never forget this phrase, don't say that's too expensive. Say, is that all? Right. I'm a fan of Alex Hormozy, and I was just watching one of his YouTube shorts the other day, and he said to somebody, "Oh, you're making $100,000 a year working your W-2 job. Great. Why don't you have $1 million?" Well, blah blah blah. Hey, stop. You're losing $900,000 because you don't want to learn how to make that $1 million. You are paying that's the highest tax you can pay, is you're paying $900,000 to not be a millionaire.
No,
Making $1 million.
that's a beautiful one. I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, a lot of people who get into this real estate, they think it's easy, but then they also give up. So I think having a strong mindset and having that attitude when you wake up and say, "Hey, this is another day. I'm gonna, get up and I'm gonna do it again and again."
Yeah.
So yes, there will be some failures, but the good part about being in our business is also that we all work very close together. It's a team sport, so that's a
Yeah.
good part of it, right? But when you look at they say that a lot of the successful people are avid readers, voracious readers, I would say. You have any books in that's your favorite that you do, and is that one of your pastimes that you use, and other hobbies that you have?
Yep. I got a bunch up there. I got a bunch over here. Yeah, I read a lot. And if I don't have my nose in a paperback or a hardback, then I'm on Audible. I also use Blinkist. So here's my plan. If I like a book, I'll if I hear something about it, I'll go on to Blinkist or one of those. I'll read the summary, get what I can get out of it. Then I'll go into Audible. I'll listen to the audio book, because time is everything, right? So somebody said to me, you can't what do you call it, multitask in the gym. And I said, yeah, I'm 55 years old, dude. I'm not going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I'll listen to the audio book and I'll just go through my emotions. So I'll do that. And then if I really like the 4-hour work week was one of these where I was like, all right, you know what? I need the hardback in that, and then I'll take the highlighter. So I would definitely read anything by Gino Wickman, the EOS model. If you're going to scale your business, that is awesome. Definitely, do that. The other thing is Essentialism, um, by McKeown, Mekeown, I think. So definitely here's the thing. The mindset shift from that book alone is this: are you 100%? Like when you look at something and you go, oh yeah, okay, do that, right? If you look at something and you go, well, I'm thinking about, nope, get rid of it. Don't get rid of it. It's not essential to your tasks at hand. In conjunction with the EOS model, is it one of your 3 rocks? Is it going to lead you to your goals for the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year? If not, why are you doing it? You're wasting your time, and time is everything.
Awesome. Awesome. No, yeah, but you have any guilty pleasures?
Yeah, man. Ice hockey and chocolate.
Oh, lovely.
Right.
Awesome. So no, thanks. But not ice hockey for me, but chocolate for sure.
Yeah.
Because where I come from India, so I'm not used to ice hockey right there. We do have field hockey out there, right? That's India's national sport, actually. Even though a lot of people think it's cricket, but it's not.
Cricket. Yeah.
National sport is field hockey. But hey, but it was nice to have you over here. But for those who want to, because you talked about students, right?
Yes.
So for those who want to, connect with you and get to, how do you think they can reach you?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is either through social media. My Facebook page is my business page. It's just Bud Evans, or go to budevans.com. You want to jump on a conversation, just click the strategy session button. We'll talk for 30 minutes. It's not a sales pitch, honestly. If you want it to be, it will be. If you don't want it to be, it's not. Let's just have a conversation, because like I said, your network is your net worth. And yeah, reach out.
Okay, awesome. No, we'll definitely try to, we'll definitely keep all of your social media handles on the, when we send out the emails to everybody as well on the podcast itself. They should be able to reach you on that. But I want to thank you for taking your time and getting on the show. And if there is anything that I can do to bring value to you, Bud, please do not hesitate to pick up the call and pick up the phone and call me. And for all the listeners, Bud is a very generous person. He is always out there explaining it to you in detail. He's a good educator. So please pick up the phone and call him and reach out to him and pick his brains. So thanks again, Bud, for getting on the show.
It's a pleasure, Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you.